we go. Great. All right, so today is June 8th at 5 p.m. and this is the Planning and Zoning Commission's design review panel. The way I understand it, it is a group of 5 people that are appointed by the Planning and Zoning Commission to provide feedback on design of large projects such as site plan reviews and special permits. And we have our members here today that were appointed by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their last meeting are coming to you from 3 different time zones. And I'll let them introduce themselves and just say a little bit about their background.
Sorry, that was to us, Jennifer.
Actually the members, and then we can
okay.
move to the applicant team. Sorry.
All right, great.
I guess I'll start. I'm Jeff Brown. I'm a registered architect working with TSKP Partners Architects here in Hartford, Connecticut. And I've been on the design review board committee for, well, I don't know how many years now. So yeah, I'll be looking at primarily the architectural aspects and components of the projects, but also the site as well.
Kathy Dorgan.
Hi, Kathy Dorgan. I'm trained as an architect and a registered architect. I'm also trained as a planner. I am a resident of Mansfield, where I have an architectural and planning practice, and glad to be joining the committee. Thank you, and good, Jeff, to see you again.
And Kathy's dialing in or zooming in from Nairobi. Then we have Soyeon Park. Do you want to introduce yourself, Soyeon?
Sure. Nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Soyeon Park. I'm assistant professor of the Department of Plant Science and Landscape Architecture at University of Connecticut. It's been 5 years working for that, and before that I was in Texas as a faculty for Texas Tech University. I was trained in biology and also landscape architecture, and so most of the work that I'm doing is related with the planning. So I'm teaching planning related courses at UConn, environmental planning, planting design, and landscape planning, urban design, and things like that. I apologize, I'm in the hospital right now. I'm on a medical leave. I'm in Korea right now. And so I had a surgery last Thursday, and I'm still in recovery. So I'm just wearing the hospital gown. I'm sorry about that. This is a 6 a.m. in Korean time. So try to be active as far as I can. But thank you for the invitation to work for the this great group, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Awesome, great. We have someone who dialed in with a 860-749 number.
I think that's Tim O'Neill.
Okay, great. So now we can start with the applicant team. Jacob, do you want to do the introductions for the team?
Sure. So my name's Jacob Mintel. Chuck Lay, who's here with us. We're partners on this project. We're part of the development team. I'm based between New York and Rhode Island. I'm in Rhode Island right now. Chuck's based in New York. And we've been working on this project for maybe 4 or 5 years now. So we're happy to almost be getting it to our public hearing. On the call with us today, we have Jeff Smith from Niles Bolton Associates, large architecture firm throughout the country. We have Kate Throckmorton. She's from ELS. She is our landscape architect. And we have Tim O'Neill, who's trying to connect to audio. He's our civil engineer, project manager from Langen. So we create a presentation, walk you through the project, and then we can do Q&A at the end. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. All right. So just went over the design team with you, so we can skip this slide. So the property is located on Route 44. It's within the Four Corners district. It's about a 3 to 4 minute drive to the Yukon campus. And we're on Route 44, which is a state road, and Cedar Swamp. Our property is 63 acres. That will come at the next slide. Current site conditions. So this used to be a 9-hole golf course back in its prime. It had a restaurant as well as a retail store that went through many uses, antique store, liquor store. It's been abandoned and dilapidated for quite some time. It's not a pretty looking site from the road by any means, as these are recent photographs that we took. And as you go onto the site, it doesn't improve. We have cracked pavement. Just imagine a golf course that hasn't been kept up. So that's what we're dealing with right now. This is a bird's eye rendering looking down on our site. So our site's about 64 acres in total. We are deeding a good portion, about 25.5 acres of this northern section to the town. This section right here is town land. So this whole back section is going to be available to the public. There's an easement access right here. There's some walking trails back here. And we are developing only on the part that's previously disturbed as a golf course. So it's about 15 acres. We wanted to keep all the development in the southern area, so we were able to preserve as much open space as possible. I'm not sure if you, this is part of what you need to see, but this is the view from our neighbors to the south. We have pretty steep topography here, so you can't really see over the hill. It's also wooded trees. This was taken back a few months ago when the foliage hasn't even come in, basically trying to tell you that the neighbors to the south cannot see our project. Again, neighbors to the northeast. This is from the lot line, and you could barely see through it. The houses are actually 300 feet farther back from this point. So you have a lot of wooded buffer and elevation. Same thing goes for 31 Cedar Swamp Road. A lot of buffer. Again, here's the most northern part of western lot, just 300 feet setback from here.
And you're keeping all those buffers, right?
Keeping all the buffers, correct. This is just from their lot line. So this is our proposed site plan. We have 262 dwellings, studios to 3 bedrooms. We have 3-bedroom townhouses. We also have an existing single-family home right here. That's part of our site that we purchased. We're keeping that as is. We have 3 different types of buildings, which I'll go over in the next slide, but we have mansion-style apartments, which are essentially a multifamily building that's supposed to look like a single-family house. We have townhomes, 3-story townhomes, and we also have double-loaded 3-story apartment buildings. So our goal here is to be able to reach as big as a demographic as possible when it comes to renting. Within this front building, building 100, we have about 6,000 square feet of indoor amenity space, fitness center, co-working, entertainment lounge with a hospitality bar, package room with cold storage. as well as a mailroom. We have outdoor amenities as well. We have a walking trail around the existing pond. We have grills and outdoor lounges, outdoor games, recreation. We included a dog run after getting a lot of positive feedback from people in the town. And we have lawn area as well, where you can just play Frisbee. We have 379 parking spots. We have 228 bike parking spots. A lot of bikes. So our unit summary is pretty equally split between studios and 3 bedrooms. Again, we want to cater to as big of a demographic as possible. So we have 210 market units and 52 affordable and workforce housing units, 15% affordable, 5% workforce. Here are renderings of the different styles that I spoke about. So we have your double loaded elevator apartment buildings, 3 stories. Obviously appeals to a resident that is more social, better ease of access to their indoor amenity space, and also from a efficiency standpoint, we're able to have less of a footprint. We have 3-story townhouses. These are all 3 bedrooms. They all come with this private outdoor space, which you can see here. And close proximity to the public outdoor amenities, ideal for, let's say, families or people who want to have their own unit and be a little bit more segregated. We also have mansion style buildings. So this is what I was talking about earlier. They're meant to look like one large single family home, but they actually have 17 different units in this. Really excited about this. I think we're the only developers bringing this to Mansfield. A lot of units have private garages. These units here in the middle are loft-like units. And yeah, we're really excited about these. So you may think we have a lot of different building styles. Will it work? We think it does. If you look at a lot of the developments in town and just multifamily developments in general, they tend to have all the same exteriors, the same look, right? Developers want to save on costs. They want to use all hardy or whatever they want to use. So we're trying to break up and create a feeling where our community will feel like its own community. We're going to have 3 different style of buildings. We're going to have all different types of people who are looking for different things. And we've been able to keep it cohesive because our materials, colors, characters are all consistent. We have 21 different unit types, again, which is a lot. 131 of our units, which is 50%, have private outdoor space. I believe the requirement is only 25%. And in general, our apartments, based on what we've seen from other proposals, are 20 to 30% larger. I think we've been trying to push our message that we are trying to get long-term tenants, families, grad students, people of this nature. It's an opportunity zone project, which means we need to hold on to this for at least 10 years. So we want tenants who are going to take care of their units, our property, and respect it. Here are some renderings. This is the most northern section of our property. You can see the existing pond that we're actually going to improve greatly. You can see the townhome style, the mansion style back here, and a side view of the apartment style. You can see colors are all similar. It flows well. But again, you get a lot of different styles. From the front, this is pulling into the property. We have a mansion style building here, and we have a building 100, which is apartment style with our public amenity space or our resident amenity space is going to be in this front section. We understand this is a long building, so we've tried to break it up as much as possible with colors and materials. You can't really see it well here, but this section is like a light brick. This section's a lighter stucco. We have a darker masonry on the first floor. We have an even darker masonry over here. So we're trying to break it up as much as possible to give it some texture and character. Traffic findings, our civil engineer and traffic engineer, they just analyzed all the data. They found no major impacts. The only change their suggestion is a minor signal timing adjustment on Route 44. It's also important to note that since Route 44 is a state road, all of our applications need to be reviewed by the DOT. In addition, we're also proposing a crosswalk along Route 44. There's not really any crosswalks close to our property unless you want to go towards Four Corners, and that goes for all the neighbors we have on the north side of Route 44. And we actually have a bus stop right across the street. So we are proposing that, which should help the whole neighborhood. Non-architectural elements, just other benefits to the community, increasing the housing stock of both market and affordable homes. We're improving the existing stormwater management. As you imagine, golf courses don't have great stormwater management to begin with because their goal is to keep, when it rains, to keep the fairways dry. Also, new codes since then. We're improving the aesthetics of the current site and the safety. We're focusing on middle housing, which is what the town is looking for. Again, like the new development, the Sanders 5 stories, very dense. We went with a different path. Investment in the community, we're spending a lot of money on this project, and we hope this brings other investments. And the money we bring, we're going to bring more people, we're going to bring more housing, we're going to bring more clients to local businesses, we're going to bring more employees for local businesses. It's really hard to get employees right now, especially if there's not enough housing in the area. And the town's going to have a improved tax basis because we're greatly improving this site. So those are some other benefits for the community. And that is our presentation.
I just wonder if you can go back to that slide that had the
Yep.
colored floor plan of the site.
Yep.
So my question is going to relate to stormwater management, all the parking lots and everything, and all the roof drains, and what's your plan of attack for that? Because I noticed on the left side there was some sort of retention pond possibility there. Is that what you were thinking? It's the floor plan, one of the first slides. It was colored site
Is Tim
plan.
O'Neill on the call? I can't see him.
Yeah, I am on here, and I apologize. I'm struggling with a little bit of connectivity issues here, so I may have to keep my camera off, and hopefully everyone can hear me all right.
So there's an existing pond. There's an existing pond. I see that. And then to the left of that, across your drive, is that a retainage pond area? Or retainage basin?
Can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so if we go back to
Sorry,
the
I just got bounced out. Let me pull up my screen again.
All right. Yeah, so I can give you a quick overview of the stormwater management system while Jacob's pulling that back up. We have multiple different types of treatment units in the stormwater collection, treatment, attenuation, and discharge system here. Our main water quality and attenuation systems are going to be 4 separate infiltration basins. 2 of them are above ground and 2 of them are below ground. You can see the above ground ponds. There's one that kind of hooks down to the left side of the screen over there. That's our large main above ground infiltration basin. And then there's a second infiltration basin located just to the left of the main entrance where Jacob's pointing now. Both of those are above ground, planted with suitable plantings for wet conditions with minimal mowing throughout the year. And then internal to the site, there are 2 underground infiltration systems, one located in the north to the right of the long apartment building, and the second located just north of the above ground infiltration basin below the parking spine. Before we reach the infiltration basins themselves, water will pass through pretreatment units to ensure that the basins are maintaining functionality over a long period. There's also underground attenuation systems that are constructed of closed pipe. And before water actually enters into those systems, it passes through hydrodynamic separators, which actually do provide the full water quality volume in themselves, but are only considered as pretreatment units in this scenario. And in many instances, you'll have water that's captured through a deep sump catch basin and makes its way through a hydrodynamic separator, then into the underground attenuation system, and then into an infiltration system before finally being released into the wetland system. So there are multiple levels of water quality treatment. There's a high level of infiltration, groundwater recharge, and allows water to cool before entering back into the sensitive areas that do surround the site. So it's a very robust stormwater system that meets all of the town of Mansfield's regulations for attenuation and treatment.
What kind of heating and cooling in these buildings are you thinking? Are you looking at
Can you
geothermal or
just
PVC?
clarify that?
Oh, go ahead. Answer Kathy's question first.
Oh, sure. Which part?
To attenuate 50% of the required on-site treatment, is that changed or?
So the current regulation is to match or reduce all design storms except for the 2-year, which needs to be reduced to 50% of the existing 2-year condition, or the proposed 2-year will need to match the 1-year existing flow condition.
And what are you doing?
Our site is compliant with that in the majority of watersheds. There's one watershed in the upper right-hand corner where we are minorly affecting, so we didn't quite make the 50% reduction, but everywhere else we have.
I just want to, can I interject one thing? This property has received approval through the Inland Wetlands Agency. And it's also been peer reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission's technical consultants, Land Tech. And they've determined that they have met the stormwater management guidelines for the town of Mansfield. So Derek Delay has looked at this, and you know, through the wetland, right now we're at the special permit application phase, but through the wetlands process, there is an extensive stormwater management review. So I just wanted to let the panel know that they've met the regulations according to our peer reviewers.
Anybody else have any
Yes.
questions on the site before we go into the architecture?
No, I mean, thousands, but you know, so we're in a difficult position. You're all the way through wetlands or whatever. It's a kind of a hard time to comment on the project, right? Because you know, you're far along, you want to build what you've proposed, and we're seeing it for the first time. But I mean, I definitely have some comments on the site plan. If people want to hear them before we go on to the architecture, is that appropriate, Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah, so you've done a lot of good things here. The variety of building types, I agree, is a good thing. I actually think for the double loaded corridors, the east-west orientation does make sense. You know, hopefully there is solar in the future, but I'm not going to ask about that. There's some beautiful, you know, layouts created by the situation, but you've made a decision to keep the green away from the buildings, right? And so, you know, when we look at a project, we're looking at two things, right? How much does it benefit the overall community? On 44, you've given us a lot of screening and things like that. There's some screening on the other road. I think it's a little narrower and might show what's done, but the other thing we look at is what's it like for the people who live in these units. And there's a little central court green space that serves some of the units. there, but most of the units are facing pavement. They have very minor front yards. I love the balconies and things there, but the site, this great, beautiful green site doesn't benefit the residents of the buildings as much as one would hope.
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe there's an opportunity to create some moments. They don't have to be as large as the southern quad there, which I think Kathy's noting with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 trees and the sort of alley between the two buildings, that south 4 building complex. And I know that's a different type just north of that, but maybe there are some transitional spaces. I see you're trying to on the left side of the L, but maybe there is something more you can do between the building and the parking lot just to get, because yeah, I'd agree with Kathy definitely on that.
I think I should pull up the actual landscaping plans because this was before we made any changes. So give me 1 minute.
And while Jacob's pulling that up, I think that consideration definitely came into our design process. What we tried to do here is make sure that the majority of units will have views of open green areas. So some of them would be more of inner courtyards that are green and planted, and we'll have some public amenities. And then, but however, the entire series of homes that are on the western edge of the developed area are all going to be looking down at all the wetlands, which will remain untouched in perpetuity. And so will the sort of northeastern set of homes facing east. Those will all have views of the existing greenery that we'll preserve. So that was the intention here. And there are some instances of interior courtyards where, because of the building placements in proximity to each other, what we had tried to do was create green spaces, big lawns, open areas where you're not directly staring into someone's unit. That was one of the comments we had received in one of the earlier iterations of this. And so we have tried to incorporate that as much as we can. And although if there's other opportunities in which we can provide more green views and green areas, happy to hear.
So
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
It's very small, Jacob.
Yeah, can you make it a full screen? We're seeing your whole desktop, not the full. I don't know. I'm still seeing a small view. I'm not seeing the full screen view.
Jacob, can you hear us?
I think if Jacob is frozen.
Might be. Let me see if I can pull it up.
I
I turned off my camera to try to use less bandwidth. It might help, but yeah.
Oh, here
lost.
Jacob's muted, but now he's back.
Yeah, sorry, my computer, it's a big file, so I don't know why it keeps let me take my video off.
Nice picture.
Yes.
Really dapper.
Thank you. All right, here it is.
We're still say Jacob until started screen sharing. So we're
There we go.
It is a very large file.
So this is the front portion of the site. As I kind of mentioned, the eastern edge of Building 100 will have the green areas, and looking across Cedar Swamp Road, which is all at the moment mostly forested area. To the south, mention type 200, the south facing units all face this nice planted green space that serves as a retention area as well. Same with Townhouse 300, that row, all the western facing units will be facing a very vast open green space. And so the interior units, it's really the interior units, for example, between mansion 200 and mansion 700. I think those are the ones that we're alluding to that don't have as much views, but what we've tried to do here is we created this entire green space in the middle of this of Townhouse 300, Building 700, and Mansion 200. And all of that will be big open lawn, lots of trees, patio with grills, just public gathering spaces that can serve as almost like someone's backyard in a sense, or front yard.
Can you show? Can you point out where those patios and grills are
Yeah.
in that space? So how many of the units face that space? What percentage of the units in the whole project face that space?
Facing as in directly, or you mean like
Yeah,
the walking distance too?
no, but those are different. So I mean, appreciate that's a lovely space, but most of the units here are looking directly into parking.
I mean, you also have 3 stories, so sure, the first story might be, but then you go up to second and third stories. You're not directly online with the parking lot.
Yeah.
We have to compromise, right, with every site. At first we didn't have the patio with grills. Then we heard we wanted, people want outdoor amenities. We agreed, so it's not all green now, but we have outdoor amenities for the tenants to enjoy. So it's not every site, every unit's going to have the perfect view. But we hope our interior layouts and the sizes of our units make it comfortable for our residents.
Can you go to the next sheet? Because there's something nice happening at the upper left there. Is that the existing pond that's there? Yeah.
Yeah, so we have an existing pond right now. It was made for the golf course for irrigation, but it's not in great shape right now. It's one of the wetlands. It's a man-made wetland, so we're actually improving the wetland in a lot of different ways. We're also we have this walking trail around with benches, and we have a lot of natural plantings around. If Kate wants to go into detail on the plantings, she's more than welcome to. She's the expert.
I'll just, good evening. This is Kate Throckmorton, landscape architect with Environmental Land Solutions. This was, I'll just quickly summarize this area. I think this was one of the goals to improve this for the wetland area. Right now, this is an irrigation pond surrounded primarily with a lot of lawn area, station. So it has been enhanced with a substantial amount of trees and shrubs, all native plants throughout the area, a reduction of lawn immediately around any of the wetlands and ponds. It will be accessible, but all the grasses and ground cover immediately around the pond will be maintained as a meadow. Keeping the small areas that are existing wooded will remain, and providing that walking path, which helps also divide kind of the more naturalized central area from the open lawn area to the right or east of the existing path.
And I'll go to the next slide. Actually, I'll go to the next slide, show the northern section. So we have more green. We have a fenced dog run up here as well.
Where are your dumpsters? I see a compactor there.
So we have 2 maintenance and waste management buildings. One's back here. This is to service the northern portion. We also have an existing cell tower on the site that's staying. That's right there. So we're shielding it, trying to shield as much as possible back here, still allowing the truck to come in. And then we also have in the In the eastern section, we have a maintenance and compactor shed. Sorry. Right here.
And we just met with Ginny Walton. The applicant just met with Ginny Walton to review the regulations related to solid waste and recycling. And also the ordinance. And Ginny has reviewed their solid waste and recycling plan.
And those two dumpsters, the compactors, all that stuff, they're going to be landscaped around it so you don't see this giant pink box, right?
Well, they're actually, yes, they'll be screened and then they're actually enclosed buildings.
Is that a house next to it to the right there?
Yeah, so
Existing house?
we own this house.
Okay.
Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see.
I'm okay unless Sol Yoon wants to say something.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, there's an echo though.
Yeah, because I'm just connecting from my phone as well, because there are some connection issues on my laptop.
We hear you well now.
And so unfortunately, I was not able to hear the explanations for the first couple of slides because of the loss of connection, but I had several questions about stormwater, but I think that question had answered already. I'm more interested in the planting design. I don't know if you guys had developed any detailed planting design and what was the main focus on that. Somebody mentioned, I think that was Kate, right? That the new planting will be mostly native plants.
Yes, this is Kate.
Is that correct?
That's correct. I think I would say 99% of our plants are all natives, with the exception of a holly hedge at the very front of the site to help buffer some planting area. But we went over that actually at the Wetlands Commission and we made some changes. So all of our plants beyond that hedge will be native, the trees and shrubs. This plan has not been detailed around the foundation of the buildings yet. Really just emphasis on the holistic site, shade trees, and the wetlands plantings and the screening. So that's really what's reflected on this plan. But certainly throughout, we are emphasizing shade trees throughout the parking lot, very carefully enhancing and expanding on the wetland buffers that we are disturbing, supplementing all of the storm drainage basins with native plantings, with trees and shrubs, and with the primary bottom of the basin being in a meadow sedge mix, and trying to create, I think the engineer did a nice job of laying out a major spine of walking paths throughout the site to provide safe connections throughout the site. We also prepared the lighting plan. All of the lights are dark sky compliant, down lights with full cutoffs. And we were careful to make sure that all the areas were adequately lit for pedestrians, and at the same time transitioning to that dark edge to allow the woods to be primarily free of nightlight.
We also, we didn't mention this, but we have a walking trail from our site that will connect to the walking trails in the back.
Jacob, are you planning, so will there be kind of a gateway to that walking trail so that like, your residents can really access that and use that as a feature? And could
Yeah,
you
yeah, so
explain that?
yeah, we're proposing access. So this is town land
Yeah.
right here. So there's a opportunity to create a path here using the existing trail to connect to the public trails that are in the back of our site.
Yeah, that was actually my another question, because in the application document, there is no descriptions under the heading of trails. So I was curious about how all those, existing trails nearby will be connected into the walking trails in the site. So I think that answered the question.
Yep. There's some pre-existing trails back there already. And then once we deed the land, the town can do whatever they want, add trails or new paths, anything like that. We've toured the Parks Commission as well.
Yeah, and the Parks Commission, so I think they're pleased thus far with how things are going. And the one thing that they are going to be putting in a memo to the applicants, and I think I discussed this briefly with you, Jacob, is just to make sure that we're not going to have parking access, but just some public connectivity from Cedar Swamp Road through that easement area that kind of juts out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. That shouldn't be a problem. It's it's there today. If you go, it's like a mode trail that leads you into the trails.
Yeah.
Just gonna stop sharing my screen if no one has any other
Well, what about the renderings? Can you just go through the renderings quickly so
Yep.
we can see those? Because I heard you talk about the long building and that you were trying to break it up and textures with different textures and things. I'm just wondering if you couldn't push that a little bit more. I mean, it's going to feel like one big giant wall, I mean, I'm just wondering if you, through pushing and pulling, maybe just in a couple of pieces to get a little bit more shadow in that facade. So it's not, I see what you're doing with the punched windows and then the recessed balconies and the corner pieces. I mean, that is helping, but maybe there is, I know it's hard as a developer, you want to maximize the space and everything, but maybe there's a way to push and pull this thing a little bit more instead of a foot. Maybe it's,
Yeah, I don't think from our extensive site plan work and stormwater and wetlands buffer, we have any more room because we are in the wetland buffer for a lot of spots on our site.
that to the
so our
east.
building footprints are pretty set.
So that's to the east towards Cedar Swamp Road, you're saying, and then the other side is your parking lot.
Correct. So this is where you pull in. I don't know if you can see it in detail, but we also have different materiality. We have masonry here. We have a panel here.
Mm-hmm.
We have light and dark brick. Again, this is conceptual.
Now, the only thing I want to say is that if you just look at the precedent of the downtown development that was happening there, I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it was a good gesture for the town, but when I see long downspouts and gutters, and I worry about on some of the other buildings that you're showing, I start to think about snow and sliding off roofs, and you got these little gutters that just disappear in the sidewalk with a plastic PVC thing. Those kinds of details, hopefully you guys are a much more classier outfit that will actually make sure that it's a more successful and a more quality driven sort of approach to the detailing of these things. I because we can all be seduced, I am guilty of it as well, to do these fancy seductive renderings, but in reality I just don't want it to feel like a plastic Disneyland kind of development thing, and
we understand. That's why we didn't go with a full hardy building that's
Good.
all different colors like
Okay.
a lot of other properties here. We're going for a timeless aesthetic. Again, we have to hold this for a long time. We want it to age well.
And the only other thing I would think is if, you get some opportunities here for PVs on the roof, even wind. I think that the town, I just finished the first net zero, fully new, 80,000 square feet net zero elementary school, 100% geothermal and PVs on the roof. So anything that we're putting in the town, my preference would be that if you can incorporate any kind of geothermal, any kind of photovoltaics in this project somehow, I think it's a win-win, because people will want to be there knowing that their building or their house is actually helping on another level with the environment.
Yeah, we agree. We try to put solar where we can. I just put 1,000 square foot solar development on a roof I have last year. We're part of this green movement. We have a lot of EV chargers also on site. Again, we are putting mechanicals on the roof to hide them. So it's not like we have a big roof to put continuous solar, because solar kind of, as you might know, works if it's continuous and not broken up by all these mechanicals. But I have sent it out to a couple solar companies to look at, see if it's feasible. And then on top of that, just energy efficient appliances, LVT.
Your materials on the outside of the building don't need to be painted, right? They're going to be materials that there's no maintenance, right, on the skin of the buildings.
That's the goal. Again, we're not in DD yet, so we haven't finalized materials, but this is our intention here.
Okay. That's all I have. Anybody else?
Well, as related questions in terms of sustainability, I understand that you have looked at the POCD of the Mansfield, but is there any particular considerations that you had in terms of landscape sustainability? I know you talked about some types of landscapes that you try to incorporate into the site, but any other features, maybe green stormwater infrastructure, or any other features that you were highlighting in terms of landscape sustainability? Because you basically increase the impermeability, right, compared to the existing condition.
Tim can answer that.
Yeah, it's correct. Yeah, and this is Tim with Langen Engineering. And Jacob, if you don't mind going back to either the rendering of the landscape plan, I'd like to look at the area down in the bottom right-hand corner next to building 100. There are a few stormwater features that we did include in the design, but we did not take credit for to meet our baseline requirements. And one of the major ones is just to the east of that main apartment building 100, just as you enter into the development. There's a long open grass swale channel, and it goes into a standard detention basin. Those will both provide, filtering quality and some groundwater recharge, which was not considered in the baseline requirements to meet the town regulations. And also to the right of that, there's a large landscaped berm that runs up along the Cedar Swamp Road over there to kind of provide some screening and some separation from that frontage there. There's also that man-made pond feature that we were referencing before in the middle of the site. That currently has a deteriorated outfall, and multiple times throughout the year, it's known to have some low levels of water. And this proposed development rebuilds that outlet structure and more regularly regulates the volume of water that goes into that pond to sustain a level of water for a healthier habitat in that area. So there are multiple different LID practices that we've incorporated throughout the project.
Okay, my one last question is about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, continue.
Okay, my last question is about the social gathering spaces. You might have mentioned that I had some moment that without connection, but is there any areas where community can gather and maybe share on the common ground? Ideally, maybe some garden places where, human can
Yep.
interact with nature as well.
Yeah, so we have, we've incorporated 2 main outdoor amenity spaces. The first one is in the front of the site between the 2 buildings, building 200 and building 700. So we have
Could
2
you show
30 by,
those?
Sure.
Jake, just, I think
Yeah.
that picture's worth
Yeah.
1,000 words.
All right, great. I didn't know if could see the screen. So let me pull it up and hopefully I don't get bounced out again. Hold on one second. I'll go to the landscaping plan. So we have a 25 by 30 patio with grills between 200. This is all lawn here with trees. We're thinking about doing some sort of like string light look here. We also have a 30 by 30 patio here with grills. We took a lot of feedback from people in the neighborhood and just people who live in garden style communities, and grills is a very big benefit because in Connecticut you obviously can't keep grills on your patios. And so these will definitely be gathering spaces. In addition to grills, we're going to have outdoor lounge seating and chairs. On the lawn, we're going to have some games. Again, you can go tan here, you can play Frisbee. And then in the back of the site, so in the middle of the site, we have the existing pond. We have a walking trail. We actually also have a walking bridge that we're keeping here that's existing. We have benches along the walking trail and benches closer over here. So you can walk a dog, you just hang out, sit with friends, talk. You'll definitely be able to enjoy nature here. And then when you go into the back of the site, we have another 30 by 30 patio here with grills, lounge seating, and more grass. And then we have a fenced in dog run right here. So dogs can run off leash, which is a big benefit to pet owners. And then we have a connection, which we mentioned before, to the walking trails in the back of the site.
So can you just, Jacob, could you just trace the walking trail that is, near the pond down, whatever, to the east of apartment building 1000, and then how you get to the town, what will be the town open space, or I think is now the town open space, but then will connect to the open space that you're proposing to deed to the town.
Okay, so this walking trail is for our residents.
Yep.
Right, okay. So here's the trail, here's the footbridge that currently exists. You can enter from here. It's not necessarily directly connected, but then we're proposing using the existing trail, which is this dotted line.
Mm-hmm.
And that you can walk into the town land right here where there's existing trail that you can enter from.
I'm just interested in the treatment of that entryway, because we do want, people love this aspect of Mansfield as the trail, so that's something we can talk about, but just I don't think it has to be a big deal, just but getting people to use that park, right, which is going to be a park, and there aren't very many parks that are in this part of town.
I think the connectivity is key, so that once you propose trails, the trails need to be connected. And also, I don't know if that's ADA compliable with the footbridge. So anybody who has some, mobility issues might also enjoy that feature.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the ADA compatibility with the actual walking trails, but to get to the walking trails, we could look at that.
So thank you. There's some really nice open spaces here. I continue to be concerned about the spaces right proximate to the buildings. And when we look at building 1000 there, can you tell me how far it is from the sidewalk to the building face?
Which
Yeah,
sidewalk?
right there. So any of them. So how far is it from that sidewalk there to the face of the building? Right there. Yep.
Tim, do you know what that is?
Yes, I'm just looking at it right now. Give me 1 second. Notes here.
Mhm.
Well, if a sidewalk is 5 foot wide, that's about what, 2-3 feet?
It
Right.
looks
So
like
the
it.
building actually jogs in and out a bit. So let me just pull one dimension here. So from the face of curb to
Mhm.
to where it actually juts out closest to the parking lot, that is, oh man, now my computer's freezing up. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Hopefully I can get this.
See the dimension of 12 feet to the left there, Kathy, on the
Yeah, there we
Google?
go. So yeah, so it's just about 8 feet from the face of curb to the jut out. And then below that should be a little bit further at 9.5 feet to the face of the building. Give or
Yes.
take.
So 5, it looks like there's a curb of 6 inches and 5 feet of sidewalk. So you're saying that it's 3 feet from the edge of the sidewalk to the building?
The curb width is included in the 5 foot width sidewalk. So yes, between the building and the sidewalk varies from about, say it's at its very closest, 2.5, and then to the longer pushed back portions of the building to about 4 feet.
Great. And can we go back to the rendering then and look at that? So again, you've done some really nice things here. They're nice big windows. They're open.
We don't have a rendering of that shows the exact.
We'll show
We have-
show another apartment building because I guess they're similar, right?
We have these two as our renderings.
Okay.
So
I'm not seeing the rendering.
Not seeing the rendering?
So show me the rendering of the building, not of the site plan, please.
1 second. Can you see the rendering of the building?
Yeah, I see it.
I see it as well.
I think
Yeah,
it's
so
about
that's not along, can you show us
disconnect.
one along the sidewalk? So like the other one you showed us where you see the sidewalk and the face along a building. You showed us the one where you're proposing the various materials or whatever.
Jacob, did we lose you?
Yeah, see the sidewalk there in front of that building in the background where the people walking, and then see the bushes there.
Yeah.
In the distance. This is the building with the corner terrace. So it looks like there you're showing enough room for some plantings there between the building and the sidewalk.
That
Yeah,
is
it
the
varies.
goal.
Yeah, so it varies in the sidewalk, but and again, I like the nice big windows and things, but there's places where people are going to be on the sidewalk. They're 2.5 feet from the windows in those units on the first floor. That seems uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, we can look into that, but I think generally speaking, on some of these, for some of these units, I guess maybe for the longer building types, there could be a little more pedestrian traffic on some of those sidewalks. but it wouldn't be kind of like facing a street in the middle of town, that level of pedestrian traffic. And so with the ability to plant certain areas in, as you saw in that the rendering that Jacob had pulled up. Actually, I can probably share my screen.
No, again, I love the big windows, but go home tonight and ask somebody to stand 2.5 feet from your windows in your first floor and see how it feels.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting. We probably beat this to death, and clearly
I hope there are a lot of positives you can take out of it as well.
Yeah. And so maybe we can go on to the floor plans. So there's some spectacular floor plans here, units like I'd move into a day, any day. They're very nice. They're very well done. But can we look at the accessible units, particularly the ground floor units, particularly those long units?
For the long building. Okay. Jeff, would you want to pull up your colorized floor plans?
Yeah, so the non-accessible units are like half depth, but the accessible units go through the whole depth of the building.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff Smith and Alice Holden. Let me grab that for you.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of maybe on the mansion style. Is that fair to say? The building type that's designed to look like the single family home. Let me get a plan for you.
Jeff, I can't pull up anything else, or my computer crash.
I think I can get it. Here, let's see. Nope.
Yeah, there we are. So at the top of the page, maybe you can point out that those are the accessible units that go through. And
well, perhaps some of them are in the submittal we identified those locations where a unit type MA2, there would be an accessible version of that. A few of them are, many of them are not. I would point out, if I could, to you, because I think I know where you're headed here, that we have not designed the accessible features of the accessible units as yet. This is if this is an accessible unit, it's the same as the others right now. It will fit into the same footprint, but that's not an accessible bath. I totally concede that. We just haven't that level of detail yet.
Yeah, but and thank you for that, and that's fine. But those have interior bedrooms with no windows.
That's a home office.
It's a study, right? You'll note that there's no closet in there either. So it's intended to be a one bedroom den unit.
Okay.
So we're seeing with the obviously a lot of more people working from home, they want an office. So this is a good way to provide someone a separate space from their living space to work.
Okay.
Or young child or a baby.
And so can you show me a two bedroom accessible unit or a 3-bedroom accessible unit?
I can show you a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, but as I said,
can you just hold on a second and zoom in on that quickly? Zoom in on the one that you just had open. Yeah, zoom in to unit MA1 lower by the garage. Zoom in where the door that's going to the stairwell. I mean, I know code wise you need a certain distance on the strike side of that door. So right now that's not going to work. So you're going to have to increase that landing there, that vestibule. You got another door swinging into that as well. So you got to just double check all that stuff, because that right now that's not going to work.
Gotcha. Okay, happy to do it. So as far as there's easier, better ways to look at a 2-bedroom. Let's see. Is there any particular one that caught your eye?
I'm just curious, and so those, I thought they were 2-bedroom units, but the one you just showed me is a 1-bedroom. So I'm just curious to see what's a 2-bedroom accessible unit.
Right. So I think the B1 would be the smallest of the the 2-bedroom units. This would be in one of the 3 apartment buildings. But because we have the different types of buildings, there's many different kinds of 2-bedroom units, including the MB1, the MB mansion. That's all that means. In those mansion style buildings, the ones intended to look more like large homes, the apartments themselves are a little bit bigger, a little bit more generous. They have direct access, some of them, to private garages. So this would be an example of a 2 in the mansion style. That stair comes down to this garage below it.
Quick question. Is that that plan you were just looking at there,
Mhm.
the uppermost wall there that's between the bedroom headrest and the toilet and the bath, that's not an exterior wall, is it?
This one right here?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Okay, good.
That goes up against the stair.
Yep.
That serves the second level. So
Okay. No, I was just thinking the plumbing, we don't want to freeze, so nothing.
correct.
So all of this does get fleshed out. My understanding is through the building permit, correct? And you submit that a different version that meets the interior walls and all of that.
Sure. So, but just to finish off your 2, this is the largest of the 2 bedrooms. It's to me, it's a pretty nice unit. It's on the corner. It gets glass from 2 directions. Big island and a nice living area with room for a large dining space. So, as far as the flats go, those are, a pretty good quick summary of the types of 1s and 2s and 3s. There is also, of course, the townhouses, which Jacob alluded to. And they're all of the townhouses are similar. The ones on the ends have superior window conditions, of course, because we can open it up to the side. But living space on the first level, bedrooms on the second, and then a primary bedroom with a nice big roof deck on the third. Stair kind of connects everybody together. So.
No, the mansion unit you showed is the one I was thinking of as a spectacular unit. That's a spectacular unit.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I'm skeptical about the interior, but I don't think that's the point of the review.
Okay.
So I appreciate it. I don't think this is part of the design committee, but when I did read through the affordable plan, it did mention that if people's income went over the affordable units, that they'd be removed from the property. And I would hope that could be worked out a different way, so that, that unit could be shifted to another. And the hopefully wonderful thing that people's incomes go up is something we can celebrate.
Yeah, I don't have my colleague Ella on. She manages all the affordable housing at the developments, but that's something we've dealt with before, and it's not a immediate kick out of a unit. So we do have to, though, check yearly on incomes, just because affordable housing is intended to go to eligible people, but there are ways to work around that without kicking someone out of their unit.
I think the flip side of that too is if someone is making a substantial amount over the qualification for affordable housing, but does not and can afford a market rate unit, but does not move out, then they're kind of preventing someone who actually needs it from being able to use that apartment. So there's there's 2 ways of it, but like Jacob said, it's not like as soon as that check comes back and they're over by $1 that we go in and kick them out. That's not the case here.
In certain towns,
not the point of this committee, but usually the point is that the affordable becomes the next available unit rather than
correct
in a specific unit. Yeah, but
correct. Yeah, in other towns we've been able to shift the affordable unit. So if there was another 2-bedroom that was open, we could shift it that way.
Can you speak to that in your, I know you guys are doing your, but in your affordability plan, maybe you could make mention of just sort of specify that, because I think The PZC may have questions about that as well. I'm not sure, but
Okay, we could put in, we do speak about income checks, but
Yep,
we
you
can put in
definitely-
some solutions or
Yeah.
that we've done in the past. No problem.
Kathy, in case you didn't know, she's the developer of Eagle, or the architect for Eagleville Green, our new, the
Yep.
mixed income development that's going on South Eagleville Road.
Great. That's good to know. Yeah, we'll definitely, that's something we can include.
Well, so I guess in conclusion, I'd like to say, I know you've worked on this a long time. I know this is kind of an awkward time in the proposal to get feedback when you're ready to get to the finish. For myself, I'd love to see if those interior studies couldn't be changed. I'd love to see if there could be more green space, between the sidewalks and the buildings, and ways, particularly for the ground floor units, to have more proximity to the amazing amount of green space on this site, right? But those are my issues. But I see some good things in the project, very good things, particularly some of those units we mentioned. And the variety of units. So, but I'd love to hear what my colleagues say.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I would echo that that if the more green spaces and more habitat areas are included in the in different part of the site, that would be great, because that's spacious areas where you can take the most out of the existing resources, and also it's really strategically poised location. The four corners are really great area where there might be some future development as well. And then there is a desire to make some trails and open spaces on the northwest side of the intersection as well, so that you may be able to think about a little bit larger vision in terms of connectivity of trails and open spaces as well. But overall, I think this is a really great project. Thank you so much for all the effort that you put in there.
Thank you. I'm not sure
Thank
if you
you.
heard in the beginning, but we're deeding over 25 acres to the town of open space.
Not 30, just 25. I saw a little patch to the east that you could just give over as well. No?
Yeah,
No,
we've added more actually. The Parks
Well-
Committee gave us their recommendations, so
That's good.
we've accommodated them.
Okay. I just want to say,
Yeah.
I mean, overall, we're just a review, so we can give input and everything. But I would just say to try to hold on to quality materials, quality detailing, because that sells itself. I mean, as far as marketing in the town and other people, because you got a lot of professionals in town, a lot of professors, a lot of architects and landscape architects. So all eyes are going to be on it. So just pay attention to the details. And what Kathy and Soljun had said as well. I agree with everything they said, but it's a reflection on you guys. So just make sure the quality remains throughout.
It's just one minor thing, signage. I think that would be important to see, the signage that will be directing the recreation areas and others, so that I know it's a detail, but it may be minor issues, but it'll play a lot of important things in terms of human behaviors in outdoor spaces.
Yeah, will help promote and bring awareness for sure. And Jeff, to just speak to your comment, this is our first development in Mansfield. We actually have another site in Mansfield as well, right around the corner, that we would eventually like to develop. Again, we didn't do a fee in lieu. We're providing affordable housing. We're really trying to make a good name for ourselves here in the town and Connecticut in general. We've done other building throughout the state. So
To that
Definitely,
point, Jacob,
yeah.
There's more land to be deeded on that one as well, because we want to do something similar and create that open space. And funny enough, the town also owns a piece of land next to that parcel. And so it'd be nice to connect that with, that site if we can ever get it approved. So more to come.
So in terms of me, I think I'm going to write up the comments, but I just want to make sure, Jeff, how has that been done before? Linda usually would write up the comments.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, I just want to make what I'd like the committee to do is perhaps, since Jeff is the only one who's in the country right now, perhaps I could write something up and have him, and the committee could just authorize, sorry about that, authorize him to kind of review it with me. But I'm hearing about the green space, and specifically between the sidewalk and the buildings. I'm hearing about the use of quality materials and quality details, making sure that the residents really understand and have a good sense of connectivity with the area that's to be deeded to the town, and can connect right into there. In the encouragement of the use of renewable energy, making sure that the accessibility features within the units are clearly articulated and meet the code. And then the interior study. Can you tell me just a little bit about, Kathy? You had that's the other note I have, but.
Sure. So the plans that show what I thought was an interior bedroom, but I'm now told is an interior study, I don't think that they are as high a quality as the overall very good floor plans of the project. And it would be great to look at those units again and see if those interior rooms could be rearranged or redeveloped in a way that living or working spaces had outside windows.
So do I think I need a consensus from the group for me to work with Jeff on some comments.
Don't
Of
forget all
course.
the positive comments, Jennifer.
Yeah, and that overall you loved the windows, you loved the fact that it was there
There
are
were a lot of positive comments from the group.
Well, Jeff and I will make sure to highlight those. But do you guys want to summarize those so that I can add them to this memo with Jeff?
So I'll start with mine. So the variety of building types and unit types I thought was a positive. I actually thought the east-west orientation where it exists in the corridor buildings made sense. Yeah, I think some of the unit layouts are really good. I think the inclusion of balconies was really good. I like the cement board siding where it's there. And I think that works well in our climate. So those were things I thought were really positive. I'll let other people throw in their positives.
Yeah, I agree. I think I like the variety of building types. I'm glad everything kind of has a different flavor for the different types of living. And then I think the relationship to the outdoors, that was a comment that we all kind of sense might be, if you had an opportunity to relook at. But other than that, I think, once you get into the level of low maintenance materials, cement board, hardy board, things that will actually not require maintenance over its lifetime. In fact, at the new school, it was expensive, but we used an ipe. It's a traditional deck. It's from a sustainably harvested forest down in Brazil, and that's going to last forever. And over time, it's going to slowly change color. So things like that are interesting to think about with materials as well. And I think you've started on that. And I just hope you continue in that thinking. And then the balconies on the corners are pretty interesting. And that one unit that has the different types of mansard type roofs, I think it's nice. I'd like to see if this keeps going. We're just an advisory to what I think planning and zoning, Jennifer. So if this thing gets real, then maybe there's another opportunity to re-review some of that stuff at a later date. But overall, I think it's a good job. You guys did a good job.
Thanks.
But again, it would be good to see more of the landscape directly proximate to the units between the sidewalk and is particularly important to me. I think, it's both for environmental reasons, cooling, heat problems or issues increasingly, but also, again, taking advantage of the greenery on this site. It's good to give some back to the community. Love that, but we want it to be a good place for the people who live there, for more proximity to usable exterior space, and more privacy of the units between the sidewalks and the parking areas and the living spaces. I don't want a car exhaust 2.5 feet from my living room window, and probably none of us would choose that.
Great. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you to the committee, to the panel, for dialing in from all over the world. And thank you to the applicants for the number of meetings that you've attended, and the many years of design that and thoughtfulness that you've put into this, because, we'll see how things go, but.
Yeah, and appreciate your listening very much.
Yeah,
so
that's key. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope
Yeah.
Sol Yoon gets better.
Absolutely. All the best to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was wonderful to have the opportunity to talk with you all on this great project. I think this is well done. There are some elements that we can actually consider a little bit more, but from the landscape architecture perspectives, I would, pretty much echo with what Kelly said. And, I really love the ideas of the meadow. So I hope that we can increase the footage for the meadows if possible. And so it'll be really beautiful areas where people and non-creature can, enjoy the area. So great job, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Soyeon, and thanks everyone. All right, Jeff, you and I will be in touch, and for the next meeting, you will have another application that you'll need to be looking at. An application for the redeveloping Toast at Four Corners. Actually, the restaurants are going to stay there, but they're adding some retail space and 116 units of multifamily development. So that application will come before this committee. They're not ready yet, but I'll need to convene another meeting. And at that time, I think I should have you all elect a chair at least, someone to kind of help run the meeting. And Jeff is the veteran member, so just think about who you might want to have as a chair. Thank you very much. I guess the meeting is adjourned at 6:24.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
everyone.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.